Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you two advanced features when it comes to API resources. We will be displaying a list of users and we will customize the response depending on the field values. I've gone ahead and set up a new Laravel project. I created a route. I also created a user controller. I've also set up an index method that returns a collection of user resources. Now, in order for us to see our response without the use of a tool like Postman, I've gone ahead and installed a package called Phpunit Snapshot Assertions. We will be using Phpunit to test, and this will give us a visual representation of our response. And this is what the snapshot looks like without us customizing the API response. Now, firstly, you can see that you don't want to return the created at or the updated at fields. So let's go ahead and customize our user resource so it only returns these fields. Okay, now in the user resource, we can go ahead and remove the default return, and we can return an array, and we'll return the ID by getting it through this ID. And because the role ID is actually a relationship, we can get this and return a new role resource, and we can pass in this role because the role has been set up as a relationship on the user model. Okay, so let's get back to our user test and run Phpunit again so we can recreate our snapshot. Okay, so if you look at your snapshot, you'll see only the specified fields have been returned. Okay, so the next thing we can do is customizing the role resource so we only show the ID and the role name instead of all of these fields. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that quick. So again, instead of the default response, we'll say we want the ID, which we will get from this ID, and we want the name, which we'll get from this name. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove our snapshot. Run Phpunit again so we can recreate a snapshot. And if you look at it, you'll see only the specified fields have been returned under the role ID. Now again, we don't need to call it role ID, we can actually just call it role. So back in our user resource, we can actually say this should just be role instead of role ID, because we're not returning the role ID anymore, but the whole resource. Okay, so let's go back to our test, remove the snapshot, run Phpunit again, and now as we can see, it has been changed to role. The display name is null on some of these records. This is where we're going to filter out the display name and remove it from the response if it doesn't have a value. Okay, so now in the user resource, under the display name, we're going to use the this when not null method and then pass in the display name. This will then basically check whether this is null or not, and if it's not null, it will include this display name in the response. Okay, so let's head over to our test, remove our snapshot, and run Phpunit again. And now if you look at your snapshot, you'll see on the first record, the display name is there, and on the second one and the fourth one where the display name were null, it has been filtered out. Now, sometimes you don't always need to check or want to check whether the field is null. You want to check to include it if it has a specific value. In this example, let's take the last name, and then we can use this and then use just the when method. And then we can say when the last name equals last name 1, then we want to include the last name. Okay, so now if we head over to our test, remove our snapshot and run Phpunit again, we can look at the snapshot and then we can see on the first record, our last name is last name 1. It has been included, and the last name now has been excluded from all the other records. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you is when you want to conditionally display multiple fields. So let's say, for instance, we only want to display the email and the role when this user in question is an administrator. Okay, so what you can do is you can take the fields you want to display, then you can call the this merge when method. And again, the first argument to this method is the conditional. So we can say this has role, and then we can pass in, or we can ask for it to check whether it has an administrator role. And then we can pass in the fields as a second argument array. All right, so if we head over to our test, let's remove our snapshot, run phpunit again. And now as you can see, the role and email has been excluded from all the records that are not administrators. Okay, so just to recap, the three most commonly used ways for conditionally displaying information within an API resource is using the when method, when not null method, and merge when method. Now, there are several more methods you can use, but I think these ones are the most commonly used ones. If there's a method you like to use, which I haven't mentioned, I would definitely like to hear about it and how often you use it. So please leave me a comment down below. I would really appreciate it. And that's it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one.